Welcome to Journey to Joy Live, a podcast to promote wellness, resilience, and inspire joy. Be empowered to balance your mental, physical, financial, aspirational, and social health while providing mental health awareness and breaking down the stigma of mental illness in the Black community. I'm your host, Dr. It Joy, and I'm here to help you transform life's challenges into opportunities for joy. Let's begin the journey together. Hello, welcome to episode 164, No Secrets, Just Safety, the conversation every parent needs to have. And I have a special guest here, Lapree Jackson. She's an author and founder of Rise and Reclaim. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. I saw your beautiful post. We weren't even friends yet, but it came across my page of this beautiful book because you just published it. How long ago?
May 26th this year.
May 26th. No Secrets, Just Safety. And I said, well, I'm a child psychiatrist. I should be talking about stuff like this. So I wanted to highlight your book and have you on. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad
Yeah.
to
So
be here.
yay. So tell us more about you other than you're an author.
I'm a mom or a stepmom. I have 3 kids. The oldest is 23. There's 20 and 16. I'm newly married for about 4 years. I'm a recent college graduate from Eastern Michigan
Hey,
University.
Eastern Michigan. I did see that in your bio. My sister went there. I'm from Michigan.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm getting ready to start my MBA in the fall. So that's a little bit about
Yay. Awesome. Where are you starting?
fall, and I'll still be at Eastern.
At Eastern.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
excited.
So where are you from? Because obviously that's
I'm
in
from
Ypsilanti.
here. I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
You're from
West side of
Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah. So okay, yeah, I'm from there too. And
Okay.
where'd you go to high school?
Redford High School.
Radford. I know Radford. I went to Cass.
Yes, I know. Shaylin. So yeah.
That's right. Yeah, we mutual
Yeah.
friends. So yeah,
Yeah.
and I went to University of Michigan. My sister ended up going, like I said, to EMU. So and my mom went to EMU
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
That is
Okay.
so dope. All right. Well, we're going to jump right in because your book is called No Secrets, Just Safety. Because a lot of times parents feel, scared to talk about that subject.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we got to talk about it because how are we going to keep our kids safe if they're not informative? But I mean, you posted a lot about, why you wrote the book. So let's start with that. Like, what inspired you to write the book?
Well, I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse myself, and I did not have the language
Mhm,
to tell someone. I did tell my mom, but when that didn't change anything,
mhm.
who else to tell? And so I didn't have that language or know how to do that because the people that were supposed to be safe weren't safe for me. So
Mhm.
how do you know what that looks like? And
Yeah.
so I wanted to create a book to teach children that, but also give parents the tools to be able to have that conversation with their kids. Because like you said, sometimes it's a scary conversation to have. So I wanted to make it where they have a safety plan in place, but they don't necessarily have to make it so scary and frightening.
Exactly. Because from the child perspective, something happens to you, you're feeling like, well, that's supposed to happen. And if you tell the
Yeah,
parent and nothing happens, then you're like, oh, that definitely was supposed to happen. So it kind
exactly.
of validates what's going on. And then you're confused because then you feel like, well, I don't think it's supposed to happen, but it is happening. Or if your body responds to what's happening and makes you feel like, well, why am I liking this? So then
Yes.
there's like the shame to it as well. And it's so much. We can go in so many directions with this, but what do you feel like if you even know, right? I don't know if you had a
Mhm.
conversation with your mom. Do you feel like your mom was fearful? What do you feel like came from that where nothing happened from that?
I think that she was fearful. My household was very abusive as a child, and so she was subject to that abuse as well. And
Mhm.
so that was my understanding of it as I got older. Like she was subjected to that as well, and she was abused as well. So it's not she did what she could, and so we walked through that path as far as forgiveness is concerned. So
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome. What was that like?
It was hard. It was a
Yeah,
long road,
yeah.
but I want my mother ended up having a brain aneurysm and a stroke in
Mm.
2004. And
Mm.
so we weren't really able to have that conversation early on, but we've been
Mhm.
walking through that here lately. And I'm glad that we have, because we were able to talk about a lot of those things.
Mhm. What do you think about what they say forgiveness is for you, not for that person that you're actually forgiving?
Absolutely. I think it's for both. I think the forgiveness also helped my mom, but it was definitely it made the weight lighter for me. And it
Mhm.
made me feel comfortable to be able to write the book. And I think that was one of the things that kind of hindered me, because it's something I wanted to do for a very long time, but just didn't have the courage to do it.
That's fair because, no matter if it's like one incident or if it's over time, you really have to process it yourself in order to put it down on paper. Because when you publish the book, people are gonna be asking you questions like, "Oh, what inspired this? Oh, I went through it
Yes.
myself." And to be able to, and it's okay if you break down crying every time, but to be able to talk about it without breaking down every time, you
Right,
do have
right.
to go through that journey. And again, I see a lot of everybody across the lifespan. I see the kid who's just gone through it. I see the 70-year-old who's been battling it all their life when it happened as a kid. It hasn't even happened anytime recently, but they still go through it. So, what kind of journey did you go through as far as being able to get to the point to get beyond that fear of being able to write a book about it?
I think the biggest thing was just acknowledging that it happened,
Mm.
and also realizing that it wasn't my fault,
Mhm.
and then really walking through therapy with that. My faith is very strong. I'm a Christian. And so those two things just really helped me walk through that path, of saying, like, okay, I don't want to let this pain be my identity.
Mhm.
And what can I do to make it meaningful and impactful so that no one else goes through this? But also
Right.
in regarding my mom, like, how do I give parents like her the tools to be able
Yeah.
to have these conversations or even know what to do should something like that happen?
Mhm. I love what you said. I don't want this pain to be my identity.
Yeah.
And that's Journey to Joy Live. That's all what I talk about as far as like it's not just the little baby stressors of how to get joy when your tire went flat. I'm talking somebody died, how do I still have joy? I got a
Yes.
divorce, how do I still have joy? I have trauma, how do I still have joy? So it's like
Yes.
being able to twist that pain into purpose. It literally is what you just did with the book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely believe that God is the God of all things. I call him the GOAT, GOAT, the God of all
God of
things.
all things,
So
not the
I
greatest of all
know, right?
things.
So it's like everything that happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And so it's either going to build you or it's going to redirect you. And
Yep.
so that's the place where I am at now. Everything that I've gone through, God, what have you put me here for? Why have I gone
Yeah.
through this? And I look for God in those things to see where he's calling me to.
Yeah. And I don't know if you knew these questions would kind of direct
I
this
do
way.
not.
I know. I was like, girl, you know what's gonna happen because I'm taking your lead, and you just said everything happens for a reason. And I think about people who've gone through trauma, and that it leads to lack of self-worth, lack of
Yes,
self-respect, lack of
yes,
self-love, and they're just like, why me? Or
yes.
oh, I suck, I'm stupid, I don't have what it takes to have a healthy relationship. People should walk over me. So it's like when you hear everything happens for a reason, for someone out there listening, like, so I got abused for a reason? Like,
Mhm.
what, how, maybe what do you say to that person, or how did you tell yourself that, get to that point?
I get it. Like, that's the
Yeah.
big thing, like, I get it because I went through that for many years, but it's like when you constantly go through the cycle of this didn't work, that didn't work,
Yeah.
I still feel this pain, I'm still carrying this weight, I'm still having this struggle.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to realize that maybe, just maybe, every path started with someone going down it first.
Mhm.
And so, just maybe, if you're tired of this thing that has happened, that you're carrying, that you're dealing with,
Mhm.
what did you need? What do you need? And so, then
Mhm.
maybe purposefully, you can create that if it
Mhm.
doesn't exist, because apparently it didn't, because
Mhm.
you're going through it. And so, that's just the thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say about 4 years ago, I went through this phase where I was just like, okay, Lord, what is it? I just gotten married and my life fell apart. And it's
Yeah.
like, I've done all the work. I've done
Mhm.
everything that you asked me to do. What is missing? And so
Mhm.
sometimes it's the redirection. And I really feel like
Mhm.
that's what it was. I had this whole idea where my life was going to go, and
Mm. It's
God had
always
a
that.
different plan. So
It's always that. And that's what it is. It's like, what's the lesson out of this? It doesn't have to be a loss. Like we're thinking about the wrong L. Let's think about the good L. What's the lesson out of this? And for
yes.
people who, I love that, everything happens for a reason. But for people who struggle with everything happens for a reason, it's like, well, it did happen. So what
Yeah.
is the lesson I can get out of this? How can I grow from it?
Yeah.
And so turning our pain into purpose, jumping into the book, that's important because
Yeah.
now others can learn from it. And also people I don't know if like is the right word, but people like to hear the struggle that someone has had because then they can relate and they feel like,
I'm not
look at
alone.
that. I'm not alone.
Mhm.
Exactly. So you go through a lot here. Did you want to we want people to buy the book. Buy the book. I got it from Amazon. Where else can we find it?
From my website, it's available on every platform. For bulk orders, you can reach out to me personally, but all of the links to get it in hardcover, ebook, as well as paperback, riseandreclaim.org.
Awesome. Okay, so go to her website because we all know Amazon don't give enough profit.
Right.
So go to her website, or if you love you some Amazon, come in a couple of days, go in and go there. We just still want you to buy the book.
Yes.
But like I said, we want people to buy the book, read the book, and read it to their children. So I
Read it
don't
to
want
their
you to
children.
exactly. So I don't want you to tell us everything in it, but kind of just take us through. What are they learning? What are the parents going to learn?
So they're learning safe and unsafe touch. They're also learning how to identify trusted adults. There are some activities in the back of the book that I encourage parents to sit down with their kids and have that conversation. Because what
Mhm.
I find is that a lot of kids often don't necessarily know what a trusted adult looks like. And
Yeah.
so having that simple question, hey, if I wasn't here and something bad happened or something made you uncomfortable, who would you talk to? And
Mhm.
ask that question to see who they think is safe. And so you want a trusted adult to be someone that you trust, but also that they feel comfortable talking to. And I would say to have at least 3 people that you guys sit down and identify. The other thing is
Mhm.
speaking up, using your voice, saying no, saying stop, saying that doesn't make me feel comfortable,
Mhm.
and telling someone, not just if the first person doesn't do anything, telling the next person, and tell until something happens, until
Keep
something changes.
telling.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and you also bring up in the book, if someone says, "Don't tell anybody or else I'm gonna do this," or
Yes.
else I'm gonna hurt you more, or I'm gonna kick you out, whatever the threat might be, which is just awful, like, how dare you? But
Yes.
people do that. People make threats because that's how the thing keeps going. So you basically say, "No, no, no, that's not true. You should still tell." But of
Absolutely.
course, we know the fear that the child has. That's why they don't tell. How do we get beyond that fear?
Having the safety plan in place that eliminates that opportunity for fear to set in,
Yeah.
and also telling them the difference between secrets and surprises. Surprises
Mm.
usually have an end date. Don't tell mommy we got her a gift for her birthday. It's usually going to expire on her birthday.
Mm.
There shouldn't be a secret that you're keeping for an extended period of times for years. And there's not something that you should be doing. And so just having that conversation with your kids and making sure that they understand the difference between a
Mhm.
surprise and a secret. And a secret should never involve your body.
Exactly. And that's why the book is for the parents to make sure they're reading it and to make sure they have a safety plan in place. And as a
Absolutely.
psychiatrist, I feel it's easier to make that conversation. I'm having it not inappropriate, but like uncomfortable type conversation all the time with my patients. And so if I see the two boys, I have three, 5 and 15, but of course a 3 and 5-year-old, they still bathe together. It's easier to do, right? So
Yeah.
we watching them, making sure. But if they accidentally touch each other or something like that, no, I'm like, don't do that. You never touch your brother's privates, and you never touch anybody else's privates. By the way, has anybody ever actually touched your privates at school? Like, I'm like, jump right in. I'm making a whole thing, and I'm like,
Yes,
okay, I don't think that needed to go that far, but we want to make sure, and the conversation should happen multiple times, not just one
yes,
time, because they're gonna forget.
absolutely. Just like you teach them about looking both ways before crossing the street. You don't want to say, oh, you're going to get by a car and you're going to die and all these things and make it very frightening, but you want to let them know. And so whenever they get ready to cross the street, they look both ways. It's the same thing. If you reiterate these things to them and having that safety plan in place, it becomes second nature.
Mm-hmm. And hearing you talk about the safety, as far as crossing the street and different things with your body, it's safety too. And I don't think it's brought up in the book, but it reminds me though, this topic of social media and safety, because a lot of times we might find that kids, older kids, of course, that have social media accounts are getting in touch with people who they think is their age. It turns
Absolutely.
out to be someone that's not their age, or even maybe it is
Absolutely.
their age, and they go and find them, or they give them their address, and then something happens. So, any advice on that? How do we protect our kids? Should we just eliminate all social media? Is that
I
okay?
don't think necessarily eliminating all social media. I think at certain ages that, yeah, I don't think that they should be having access to it. That's just my personal preference. But I did talk a little bit about that in the book, and just making sure that you let them know, like, you really want to know who you're talking to. And the parents want to know who their kids are talking to. And so that's one of the things. But absolutely, you want to make sure that who they're talking to on social media, if anyone, that you know exactly who they are.
Oh yeah, and honestly, none of my kids are on social media that I know of, because I've caught the older one on Instagram or TikTok and when YouTube at one point. And it was this profile, and the person had obviously a profile of like a young black male playing basketball. And so it's like, oh, this is a cool person. Let me talk to this person. And so I'm
Hmm.
like, who is this person you just talking to? You think it's cool. And we looked it up. It was so easy. It was this older, white, scraggly
Oh
man with this long
no.
hair. I said, do you realize, showing the picture, like, do you realize who you were talking to? He's like,
Yes.
he was
And
so
that is what,
shocked.
yeah, absolutely.
That's so easy. So
It's
to the parent,
very easy.
yeah. So to the parent who says they don't want any social media for the kid, I'm okay with that. I don't think you're being overboard. But to the parent who gives all access, and on the other extreme, you need to monitor it. You have
Yes, you
to
definitely need to
monitor it.
monitor it. And a lot of parents sometimes think that that's an easy way to kind of keep the kid busy so they can do other things, but it also gives the outsiders access to them. So you really want to monitor that.
Yeah, it's hard being a mama, because
Yeah.
you're right. We used to give our littles the tablet, and it's just like, go away, go over there.
Yes.
But even that caused issues, not with like
Yeah.
encountering sexual stuff, but just
Yeah.
like temper tantrums when we would take the tablet away. And you
Yeah.
just you just really got to change what you do to change the behavior. So it's not like you're being a bad mom for doing those things. You just got to change it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you said, how old were your stepchildren? You said 23 and 18?
23, 20, and 16.
Oh, I missed the middle child. You 23, 20, and
And
16.
16. Yeah.
Is it 16-year-old female or male?
The 16 is a girl.
A girl.
Yes.
Okay.
Her name is
So,
Kiasha.
okay, Keandra. Okay. So you married her father 4 years ago. So you've known her at least 4 years, but I imagine maybe more than that, right?
Yes, 11 years.
Oh, wow. 11 years. So I imagine, have you had the conversation with her since you are
So a little.
okay?
I kind of leave that to her parents. I know I am a parent as well, but sometimes the co-parenting dynamic isn't always the easiest.
Oh,
So yeah,
yeah.
I
Gotcha.
allow her mom and her dad to have that conversation with her, but I'm very
Makes sense.
open and she can come to me and talk to me about anything.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense, especially when the mom is involved. It's a little bit different in my household, because I'm basically the primary mom. So I've had all the conversations, and it's boy too. So that's different too. I've had all the conversations with
All
him.
of them.
In fact, some of the conversations where I feel like the dad should have the conversation, because it's like dad, you guys are both boys. You have the same compartments down there. But even I've had those conversations because, again, it's just easier to have those conversations. But I completely understand that. But have you noticed with your 16-year-old, like any has do you know if this conversation has happened from her mom
It has
or she
happened.
read the book? Okay,
Absolutely, it has happened. So
nice.
yes, definitely, she is very well aware, and she's very outspoken. So I know if anything uncomfortable happened, yeah, it would
Yeah.
definitely be said.
Gonna make sure. Yeah, and we're talking about kids, of course, but of course this can happen to adults as well. We had lots of women coming out about different things. We got something
Mhm.
reach the news, the media, the Me Too movement, and all of that. And there's still that fear of how do I tell people because then it's like your reputation that gets ruined or you lose your job or something like that. Any advice that you have to adults who are just like, oh, of course, the same as you, like, I wish I had that when, as a child, but
Mhm.
now this is happening to me now. What do I do?
I mean, definitely speak up. I mean, I'm a strong
Yeah.
advocate of therapy. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's easier to begin talking about those things in therapy before you actually tell someone. So I went through therapy for since I was 18 years old. I've been in therapy on and off for a very long
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
And I definitely feel like it's something necessary. But one of the things I have with No Secrets, Just Safety is trusted adults. And those are people that are saying, like, I'm going to be that person that you can come to. I'm going to be that safe space. I'm going to listen. I'm going to affirm you, but I'm also going to take action. And so maybe finding some trusted adults in your circle that can be that for you as well as an adult.
Mhm, for sure. And, there's family, friends. I don't know if a lot of people still do godparents, but I know some people do have like a godmom, godparent, uncles, aunts, grandparents, that kind of thing. So if you establish that network ahead of time, this is the person you can go to. It's definitely
Yes.
very important to be able to have someone that they trust. But are there some simple phrases that every child should know by heart before they ever even need to say them?
No, no, stop. That makes me uncomfortable.
And you have that in there. I don't remember what page, but it is
I
in
believe
here
it's page 16. It is
twice.
absolutely.
There it is. That no stop,
Page
not
5.
that. I don't
Yes.
like this. Look at you.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, and it's the cutest little girl just throughout the book. It's
Yeah.
almost like you created yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And the little
everything I needed as a kid, honestly, and so I tried
yeah.
to make sure I touched all those points.
Yeah, for sure. And then no is a complete sentence,
It is.
my body's my own, my body's sacred. So all those things are very important for you to grow and learn, growing up anyway, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So definitely very important. So how is it going? What are the next steps with the book? Are you gonna create anything from this?
Yes, I want to get it into the schools. I think that's a place definitely where most of our kids spend a lot of their time. So getting that, I would love to have trusted adult offices in all schools. But I'm working on a facilitator's guide for the book to kind of help parents, caregivers, churches kind of reiterate the topic of the book and have those conversations, know how to have those conversations.
Yeah, that's important because you can definitely do a lot with books in general, workshops and groups and things like that. So we got to comment here. The boys do need to have the talk with their dads, but they also need to hear it from a girl, woman perspective too. I mean, that's why we got two parents. We got the woman perspective from the mom, and the male perspective from the dad. And I don't think you go into too much detail about like who's going to be the one in the book, but any comments on that?
No, just have the conversation.
Yeah.
And the more people that are having the conversation with that child, you should be talking about it at home. You should be talking about it in school. You should be talking about it in daycare. You should be talking about it in church so that it is second nature. Like they don't have time to allow fear to step in. They know exactly what to do.
Yeah, for sure. So if you had just 60 seconds with every parent in America, what's that one message you'd want them to hear?
Have the conversation and continue to have the conversation. And if they come to you,
Yeah.
believe them, affirm them, and act and take action.
You have to believe them. You have to believe them. And you have to set aside. you literally have to set aside your wishes and your feelings, because I can understand how, say you're the mom and it's your child coming to you and they're talking about the man that you married.
Mhm.
And maybe that's not their dad. Maybe that is their dad, right?
Yeah.
There's that too. Or maybe it's your brother. You grew up with that brother. It's their uncle that did it. And so
Yeah.
you're just like, my brother would never do that to you. The man I'd married would never do that to you.
Absolutely.
So it's so difficult from both perspectives, but that's why it continues to be a secret, and that person continues to feel like they can't trust their mom to tell them, or if it's on the father's end, the father saying, oh no, my girl, my sister would never do that, whoever it is, right?
And
Because
that's why
we
it
put our feelings.
happens. That's why it happens. And that is my story. I did tell my mom and nothing happened. It actually got worse. And then I told her again and it didn't happen. And so for 12 years, I didn't say anything else to
Mm,
anyone.
mm,
And so you don't want a child to hold that, to feel like they can't say anything to anyone. So when they come to you, take action.
mhm,
Take action.
mhm. You got to take action. We got to let that marinate. That is so important. Such a deep subject, but I'm so glad you feel so comfortable and brave and strong to talk about this, because that's
Thank
what
you.
makes us not want to go to therapy, because we're just like, I don't want to talk about that. I'm going to cry. I'm going to be
Yeah.
scared. I'm scared about what's going to come out of it. What if it doesn't work? Am I a lost cause? These are all things I literally hear from patients. And I'm just like thankful that they're just even here to tell me that, because that means
Yeah.
you came to see the psychiatrist.
Absolutely.
And,
Absolutely.
I say the worst side effect, or the only side effect of therapy, is that, yeah, the feelings are going to come. But how long did it take, if you even have a quantity to it, for, you to be able to get to the point to talk about it?
Um, I think over the years, I've just been talking about periods of things. I think here lately, a lot of things came up, specifically with my attacker.
Mm,
But at 18, I started going to therapy. And at that time, I was very suicidal.
mm,
And so when I got about 24-ish is
mhm.
where I learned new coping skills on not harming myself or wanting to harm myself, but really dealing with what was hurting. And
Mm,
that was the fact that I felt alone. I didn't have my parents.
mhm.
And it was the weight of what happened and not being able to see a better way. And so now getting to the point where I'm walking through forgiveness with my attacker.
Wow.
That's a whole new it's very new. But I feel like it's necessary just because I'm 44 years old now. I don't want to continue to carry that. That isn't my identity.
Right, because when you carry it, like we were saying earlier, forgiveness is for you. First of all, you
Yeah.
look 34, but
Thank you.
but yeah, and the weight that gets lifted, and we were talking about forgiving the mom who didn't believe you, and now we're talking about forgiving the attacker, and that's so important.
Yeah.
I would never push that on anybody to do, but what kind of light did you feel after being able to do that? Or it sounds like you're still working through it.
I'm still working through it,
Good,
but I feel free.
good,
That's the best way that I can put it.
freeing.
It's very freeing because whether they change or not, you don't want to carry that like it's a badge of honor. Like it
Mhm,
isn't,
mhm,
you know?
mhm.
And so, an
Yeah,
only way for me to fully embrace where I feel like God is calling me, I felt like that was necessary.
yeah. It's
And my attacker was my biological father.
I was gonna bring up a scenario like that,
Yeah.
because is he still alive? You said
Yes.
was.
Yes, he's still
Okay,
alive.
okay, and do you still go around him?
No, but we're actually working through healing now. So,
Yeah,
he therapy sessions currently.
okay. 'Cause I had a friend who, same scenario, right? It was the father, and went through forgiveness and still had a relationship with them. I mean, not a
Mhm.
intimate relationship, but a father-daughter relationship, and
Yeah,
things went well, and this person's very successful. And so there's this ideal of resilience too.
yeah,
There's the person who unfortunately, don't get the therapy, or maybe they get the therapy, but they just continue to carry that weight of the lack of self-respect and that
Yes.
depression and suicidal thoughts, and they don't end
Yes.
up being resilient, or being healed enough to be able to be successful. But going back, because you did say something very deep there, you did experience the suicidal thoughts, and just I want
Yes.
to point on that. We're about to go into September, the suicide recovery month, by the way, but or prevention month. But that's another reason why we've got to make sure we take care of our kids and have this conversation, because you get to the point where you're stuck between a hard rock and the wall, whatever it is, and you're just like, why am I here? I want to
Mhm.
die. I want to kill
Mhm.
myself. And then you're attempting and things like that. So it gets really serious, obviously.
It absolutely does. Looks at a study, and it said 1 in every 3 girls and 1 in every 13 boys are abused before the age of
Mm,
18,
mm,
and 90% of those are by someone that they know.
Yep, yep, yep. I know those stats. 90% are
90%.
by someone that they know. Yep. Yep. That's true. And I see it in my patients where it's either a mom, a father, an uncle, a coach, someone that they know. So we also have to realize that the network that we build, that we have our children trust, is that we can trust them. Because I'm not even gonna lie, On one of your pages, right here, my safe grown-ups, and it says mom, Uncle Marcus, grandma, school nurse, Miss Lopez, the teacher, and Coach Jamal. And I looked at myself, I said, I don't know if I trust Coach Jamal. Like,
But that is
that's
why
the
you
stereotype,
have
right?
that's why you have to have the conversation, because a trusted adult is
Yeah,
someone that you trust, but
right.
also that the child feels comfortable with. And so you need to know who your child feels comfortable with and why. But
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah, we
Because
have to make sure.
yes, Coach Jamal could be.
I
Absolutely.
don't know. He looked nice. He looked nice. But just because that's the stereotype, like that sometimes, it's the coach, but we make light of a very serious topic.
Right.
But it's okay to not be okay. And because
Absolutely.
it went, no victim blame or anything like that. If someone says, well, what were you wearing? Or why did you look that way? Or you got drunk, or you got drugged, or you felt that pleasure sensation, because I've gotten that too from
Mhm.
individuals where there's like, well, when my father touched up on me, I got aroused myself. So I thought I was supposed to do it. So it's like, that just means your body works. That doesn't mean you want it to happen.
Mhm.
Your body works. You're going to get aroused, right? And it's a matter of education and self awareness and knowing these particular things so you can realize it's not your fault.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things too in the book, is to name the body parts and know their functions, because yes, if your body works, yeah, those things are going to happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is okay and that it's right and that it should be happening.
Yeah, we got a really good question here. I hope you don't mind that your name is flashed up on here. But what if you've been through sexual abuse growing up and you survived it and it came up again and it gives you flashbacks or a flashback and sends you into a dark place? How do you handle it? I'm going to have you answer that first. And of course, I'll answer.
Absolutely. I definitely believe in therapy. Therapy is a place where you can navigate all of those conversations, all of those feelings that you're having. What flashbacks are you having? Because I'm not a therapist or anything like that. I can only speak from where I've been and what helped me.
Sure.
But if it sends you into a dark place, I definitely don't want you to go there. I want you to talk to someone that you can trust, that's close to you, and I would definitely say talk to a therapist. I mean, that has been my saving grace. Under God, that has been my saving grace. So
Yeah.
definitely having that conversation and talking about it, getting it out.
Thank you for answering that. And from the psychiatrist standpoint, the flashbacks and it coming up and avoiding places because it reminds you of what happened, or having nightmares, or being what we call hypervigilant, looking over your shoulder, you're easily startled. or sometimes dissociation, feeling detached from yourself, those are all signs of post-traumatic stress disorder. So it's sending you into a dark place, feeling empty or feeling numb or feeling like you don't want to be around people. PTSD can lead to depression. It obviously is a component of anxiety. So, how do you handle it? That's what Lapree said. Therapy. And for some people, it gets to a dark place where you're not sleeping, you're not eating, you might be having suicidal thoughts. You might be self-medicating by drinking alcohol or using drugs. Or a person might say, I smoke weed every night so I can get to sleep. You are self-medicating, right? So maybe a medication could be helpful. So that's where the psychiatrist comes in hand in addition to the therapist. So if you're at a point where you can't work or relationships are dwindling because this is coming up, then that's a sign to seek help and see someone. And thank you so much for asking that question.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is going really
This
good. I
is
don't know if there's any
great.
other questions or comments. I mean, as you can see, this people don't talk about. It's
Yes,
what
it's
we need.
definitely it's taboo to talk about.
Mhm.
I mean, my mother was a victim of sexual abuse, and several of my aunties were, and it's just like it's something that's not discussed, and we have to stop that. We have to, in order for something to different to
Exactly.
happen, you have to do something different, and you have to bring light to it. Talk about it. Tell someone.
We have to stop the cycle. And hearing that your mom went through it, that doesn't stop that, she didn't notice it or believe it happening to you, but it's stopping with you because you're out here studying it, becoming self-aware, educating yourself, putting a book out, educating everybody else. But yeah, having to break the cycle. Thank you, Shaylin. And shout out to Shaylin. She's the one that posted your book because I'm
Yes,
friends with her on Facebook because I went to college with you. And
that's my
so that's
bestie.
yeah, and then, you guys happen to be besties. Exactly. So yeah, now I remember how I got across to you. But yeah, thank you, Shaylin, for being a good bestie and posting and sharing. It got on my feed and got you on this podcast. So thank you everybody for the comments. I'm gonna pull your website back up and you're gonna tell us what else is on that website. You're founder of Rise and Reclaim. So what exactly is that and what will we find outside of your book on that website?
Rise and Reclaim. Honestly, Rise is something that I've been working on. So I've been in therapy for some time. And so I came to a place where I was stagnant, where I didn't
Mm,
really know what were my next steps. Like I've been in therapy, it's not helping. What do I need to do? I felt stuck. And
mhm.
so I created what's called the RISE method. And it stands for RISE is recognize, I for integrate, S for stabilize, and E for execute.
Nice.
And that's kind of the process I went through to get myself to a place where I could actually talk about it and not just talk about it, but do
Mm.
something about it. A lot
Mm.
of times I feel like with therapy, you know why, you know the mother wounds, you know the father wounds, you know the
Mm.
things, but how do I change that? What do I do? There's the talking about it in therapy, but I'm an action person. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So
Right.
recognize the patterns, the things that rise up in you, that affect you, the things
Mhm.
that attribute to the things that you do. And then you want to start looking at those and integrating those and changing those patterns and
Mhm.
doing that with consistency. And
Mhm.
so that allows you to stabilize and then you begin to execute. So that is what I'm working on next. That's my method that I've kind of used to help me get from woe is me to how do I stop the cycle. And outside
Good.
of
Good.
no secrets, just safety, I want to get into every school and every church. And so I'm working on a
Mm.
facilitator's guide to do that. And I also do coaching. So if
Yay.
you're looking for someone to kind of help you through it and walk you through it along with God and your therapist or one or the other, I'm your girl. So
Love it. We gotta spring it into action, that's for sure. Because therapy that doesn't have homework and some, like, tips to get you behavior activation, activating what you need to do, that's really important. So, gotta love the coaches, that's for sure. You can find her at Rise and Reclaim Official, as well as the real underscore Miss Jackson. Oh, I guess that's where we go to party over there. Okay. Well, anything else that we may have left out?
no, I think we covered everything. No, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I want us to continue the conversation.
Yeah, we do. Start the conversation, continue it, and break the cycle. Thank you so much for coming. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Shaylin, for sharing everything and commenting. I will let everyone go now. Thanks for watching. This has been an Enjoy Life production. If you're in a crisis, don't hesitate. Call, text, or chat 988 for immediate support. Please note, this podcast is for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional treatment. If you're looking for therapy or medication management through Enjoy Life, visit www.drenjoylife.com to request a consultation. I'm licensed in 13 states. I accept Aetna in Georgia, Florida, and Virginia. Be sure to grab your copy of the Enjoy Note to help you on your wellness journey. Also check out Inspire Joy for the wife, mom, boss to help you balance it all without losing yourself. Better yet, get the full Joy bundle for just $45. Remember, Journey to Joy Live is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Thank you for joining me, and until next time, may you continue to transform stress into joy.